Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Before we dive into the video, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell icon. Let's dive in. Have you ever felt a silence heavier than any word? I remember the first time. The silence between us felt heavier than words. She stood by the window, wearing one of Dad's old shirts, the one he never used anymore. The moonlight traced her outline, soft and distant. When her eyes met mine, she didn't move. Her lips formed quiet words, "Go to bed, Josh." But her eyes, they carried something else. Something unspoken. What happens when loneliness hides behind perfect smiles? I never went looking for that moment, for that strange connection that grew in the spaces between grief and habit. When Dad married Nicole, I was 19. He met her on a business trip, and 3 months later, she was already here, rearranging the furniture, replacing old family photos with new ones, versions of us that looked brighter, but erased Mom. Nicole was hard to ignore. She wasn't loud or fake. She had this calm, careful way of existing that demanded attention without asking for it. Every gesture, every pause felt planned yet fragile, like she was trying to hold herself together. I told myself it was nothing, just adjustment. But when Dad left for a weekend with his firm, the house suddenly felt too big for two people carrying too many ghosts. She offered to make dinner. I should have said no, but I didn't. The kitchen felt small that night. We talked about simple things, school, work, plans, but underneath, I sensed a heaviness neither of us wanted to name. Later, she sat on the couch, her eyes distant, her voice soft. "Do you hate me for marrying your dad?" The question caught me off guard. "No," I said, "I just don't know where I fit anymore." Her voice cracked. "I don't know where I fit either." That was the first time I saw her, not as the woman who replaced my mother, but as someone who didn't know where she belonged either. Someone lonely, hiding behind polite smiles and perfect posture. After that night, everything felt different. She acted normal, asking about my classes, making breakfast, but the silence between us kept stretching. Every word carried too much meaning. Every glance lingered a second too long. Dad came home and life went back to routine. Nicole laughed at his stories, played her part perfectly. But I could see it, the distance behind her smile. The ache she carried so quietly it almost looked graceful. Weeks blurred together. I started staying out late, avoiding the house. But no matter how far I went, I couldn't shake the feeling that something inside that house was falling apart. Then came the storm, the kind that makes the whole sky shake. The power flickered. I was in the garage fixing my bike when Nicole appeared in the doorway, rain dripping from her hair, eyes red. "I locked myself out," she said, her voice barely audible over the thunder. I handed her a towel, trying to hide how unsettled I felt. She looked at me and whispered, "I miss being seen." Really seen. It wasn't romantic. It was human, raw. A confession from someone fading behind her own reflection. "I see you," I said quietly. And I meant it, not as admiration, but as understanding. She looked away, and the air felt heavier. The storm outside raged louder, matching the chaos between us. When the lights flickered back on, she was already gone. The next morning, she acted as though nothing had happened, smiled, poured coffee, but something inside both of us had shifted, and we couldn't undo it. Days turned into weeks. The distance grew. One afternoon, I found her crying in the laundry room, her voice shaking. "He forgot our anniversary," she said. "Rescheduled it like a meeting." She laughed, but it wasn't laughter. I wanted to say something to comfort her, but all I managed was silence. She hugged me suddenly, desperate, trembling. "You remind me that I still exist," she whispered. From then on, the silence in our home wasn't empty anymore. It was loud, sharp, waiting to break. Then Dad found my phone. On it, a photo I'd taken by accident. Nicole standing in the garden, sunlight in her hair, smiling at something I'd said. "Why do you have this?" he asked. I had no answer. After that, the air in the house changed. Nicole grew distant, quiet, like she was erasing herself from the story. The night before I left for college, she knocked on my door. "I shouldn't be here," she said softly. "I know. I'm sorry." "So am I," she smiled faintly. "Take care of yourself, Josh." Then she turned and walked away, disappearing into the dark hallway. Sometimes connections aren't meant to last. Sometimes they exist only to teach you what loneliness sounds like when it echoes through the walls of a home that never felt like yours. She said it was wrong, but maybe what she meant was it hurt too much to stay.